Hello my viewers, today we're looking at the Leatherman curl. I keep having to check the names. It's one of the two new Leathermen this year, and this one seems to be wanting to enter the wave category of their range, like the wave range, whilst being the kind of the lowest end. So still being a good full-sized Leatherman, whilst having a couple less tools than the wave and the incremental improvements that the wave sort of line has. So thinking wave, charge, surge, and then at the bottom you've got curl. So this one made a better first impression than than the Bond did because of this. It came with a pocket clip on it. The Bond, I saw imagery of it with a pocket clip on it when I was looking online, and then when you buy it, it turns out you have to buy the pocket clip separately for an extra $9. And that did not make me happy. So this one I was really happy to see on the sort of the non-tooled scale side, the pocket clip already affixed, which was nice. And this does really make it almost feel like a little bit of it's a feature rather than just you've lost a couple of tools for a pocket clip. This one is a little lighter, it's a little slimmer, and it does feel the most like an EDC tool out of the wave line, which is cool. It's an initial win. So I'm going to show you this next to the wave, and I'm going to show you next to the wave that doesn't have the extra little jaw bits in it. So I went and I bought one for my friend years ago, and I just went and said, hey man, can I borrow your wave for a video? And she was like, sure bro. It was a good little moment. But anyway, so I'm going to show you that next to the wave so you can see exactly what you're missing out on, or what's different in the curl. So and then I'll talk about sort of where it fits in the scale and who it might be for, and then I'll talk about sort of my final thoughts on it and if I think it's worth the $150 that it costs. So buying from Leatherman, for me, this one cost me $150. That's almost the most expensive way to buy a Leatherman is to buy from Leatherman's online store, and I did that because I just wanted it soonish, and you've got one, like an actual Leatherman. And I don't think there's a huge amount of fake Leathermans getting around, but this way. You know. So the only other more expensive way is to walk into a retail like fishing store and pay like $700 for a Leatherman or whatever. You sometimes see pretty crazy prices going on there. So anyway, I'll talk about whether it's worth that. It definitely does feel like a step up from the Bond. But it's in a different platform to the Bond as well. The Bond was kind of discount rebar. This is sort of lower end wave. So let's have a look at it next to the wave. Alrighty, so here they are next to each other. The curl is about 30 grams less than the wave. You're talking 7.5 ounces to 8.5 ounces. And you've got, whilst the blades are the same on them, they are on sort of different sides, so to speak. So on that show side is one has a plain blade and one has a serrated blade on the old wave. And then busting out the file on that side, and I think the file's on the same side on the other one too. Yes, indeed. And again, this is something that, and I'll talk about it later, I wouldn't mind you being able to reconfigure at least these outer tools a little bit. Anyway. In terms of gripping the pliers, you do have those sort of slightly rounded handles because there are no tools on the other side. And that's what you get on the curl, I guess, if it's a plus. But of course, the wave, you get the two extra tools. Looking at them from the end, you can see that there is locking bars on the wave, and they lock all those inner handle tools in place when you open them, whereas the curl just has a locking or a heavily tensioned spring that sort of makes them non-locking tools. See the plier heads, the same. The obviously wave is a bit knackered after years of service, but there you go. It's yeah, not a huge amount of difference in the handle tools. You notice on one side you have, on the scissor and flat driver side, you have the scissor, flat driver, and an awl. Whereas on the other wave, you've got the scissors, the flat driver, and what I prefer, I think, is the eyeglass or mini screwdriver. As a 4-eyes, I use the eyeglass drivers a lot when I got them. So I would prefer the tool set on the wave, the inner handle tool set anyway, to that on the curl, but not by a huge amount. And I am aware lots of people never use the eyeglass screwdriver. Everything else is the same, the scissors and everything. It's good to see that Leatherman aren't cutting really any corners with the scissors. This is all the same stuff that they've been putting on waves forever, and they're all like good quality, nice and squared off tools. I've done a couple of rants before in the past about how the Sidekick range has those weird polished, sort of flat, stampy feeling tools. Don't like it. These ones feel much nicer. On the other side, you've got the can opener and the swappable bit driver. The bit driver is fine. I actually would just prefer a 3D Phillips and not have the exchangeable bits, or have an exchangeable bit that fits like not flat ones, like the Gerber center drive or something like that. That's probably what I would prefer, but we're never going to get that. See the pocket clip sitting there on the outside. It's also different in terms of the ruler. You can see how on the curl, because there isn't that other side that's all sort of folded over fully, they don't have the double ruler. So on the curl, you get kind of a half of it is in centimeters and half of it is in imperial inches. Whereas on the wave with everything, it's got the fuller, longer ruler in both denominations of measurement. There we are. Busting out the charge, you see this is an example of what the plus means. With the plier head, you get those plus wire cutters. I've always speculated those wire cutters are just as good for Leatherman as they are for us, because if we mung up our cutters, then we just change them rather than using the warranty. And that's the other clip. I much prefer the curls clip than the sort of extra wave or charge clip. I think that's a really like extra too big clip. I don't love it. Everything else though on the charge is basically the same tool set as on the wave, with the exception of the plain blade is made of 154 cm steel. Look how disgusting my plain blade is. Have soaked it in vinegar, so yeah, it does just wipe off though. I had to like recondition all of my tools for these videos. So I have like lots of vinegar baths and WD-40 and all that sort of stuff going on with them. I'll just bust out my Swiss tool next. The Swiss tool Spirit. This is about the same size as the wave or the curl, and this is possibly my favorite. I don't know, I like the charge a lot too. The Spirit has heaps in it. It's a bit more nail nick pulley, which I don't mind, but a lot of people quite fairly don't love. But the Swiss tool Spirit is like a super duper well made, really nice. Probably feels the most premium out of all the multi-tools, and it is definitely a dad class gift. And speaking of that, let's talk about who the curl is for. Alrighty, so let's bust this guy into the multi-tool quality gift recipient ratio chart here. It's a pretty handy chart that I've made up just to scale where you might fit these multi-tools into your gift buying decisions. And this of course assumes a few things. It assumes that like your dad is awesome and didn't used to like fight with the other dads at your little league games and make a general cock of himself, and it assumes that like your co-workers are all pleasant enough that you buy presents for, and that your half brother or your step brother or your brother-in-law isn't a complete douche canoe. But it's it's a pretty safe chart if your male relations hierarchy is about in line with mine, I guess. So look, thinking about where other multi-tools fit on this chart might give you a bit of an idea. So say the wave, right? The standard wave, just the shiny steel one. That's like a bestie to brother quality multi-tool. Like that's where that one sits. Of course, the dad variety of multi-tool is like the charge with the full-on bit kit, or a Leatherman Swiss tool with all that extra stuff. Like the really top tier multi-tools. If you think back to like my last video, the Leatherman Bond, that was pretty safely an uncle class multi-tool. For your good uncle, he's got like the heart of gold uncle. And you'll get, because he's got his own kids, to get him like the charge with the bit kit. So, or maybe he doesn't have kids, and if he doesn't have kids, he's just happy to get anything.
I'm speechless.
But like the Leatherman Bond was like, it's still a good good Leatherman, like it feels like a proper Leatherman. So most people who especially don't know these tools and stuff will be like, wow, you got me a Leatherman, that's amazing, thank you so much, because they associate them with value and with being well made and all that sort of stuff. So the Bond was pretty happily an uncle tier multi-tool. I'm going to put this one just at the upper level of the ancillary brother. So between that and Bestie, this really is almost a wave. You save a little bit of money, so you can sort of have that financial back step to, because it's not your brother, it's not your bestie, but he's your ancillary brother. Someone else has made him your brother. You had no choice in the fact, but you get along fine. So he gets a Leatherman curl. So the Leatherman curl, final thoughts. I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. It feels like a legit Leatherman. It feels like, almost the wave. And, if you want to buy it for someone who's almost your bestie, it's a good tool for that sort of price point. I'd love to see a couple of things change. I would love to see all the Leathermans have 154 cm, as in not a single Leatherman doesn't have 154 cm for your blade steel. I'm not saying go and get a S35 VN steel for all of them. That'd be nice, but you would definitely be industry leader, because while most of the other multi-tool companies just have either unnamed stainless or 420 series stainless, if you had, you've got a good 420 HC, but is that to almost an oxymoron at this point? Getting 154 in on all these blades like you do with your chargers, that's the ticket. It would make a tool like this, especially this one, which comes with a pocket clip, almost feeling like an EDC knife kind of tool, would make it definitely a cut above its competition. First thing. Second thing, I would love to know if you could replace or choose which ones you had as your two outside tools. All these tools seem to fit the same spots. So I'd love to be able to, at checkout, just choose whether you have serrated knife and saw, or maybe plain knife and file like on this one, or even saw and file for your European market that can't have locking knives. A locking saw and a locking file is probably fine for them. And you've got like an EDC toolkit without a blade on it. And some people would really dig that. The same people who buy knifeless rebars and things like that. So, an interesting thought. Look, overall, I was expecting to be a little bit bummed on this one too. The Bond was okay, definitely just uncle class. This is almost getting into bestie class. And there's really not much wrong with it at all, as long as you go into it knowing that it is a reduced feature, reduced cost Leatherman wave. I think I give this guy my thumbs up. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.